across the country don't have access to dental care, including right here in Southern Nevada. Future Smiles is a local nonprofit that serves the dental needs of underserved students in the Clark County School District. We stopped by the Women's Philanthropy Dental Wellness Center on the campus of Elaine Wynn Elementary School to learn more about Future Smiles and the services they provide.
Future Smiles was founded in 2009 by 3 dental hygienists, myself and 2 of my dental hygiene colleagues. We had a dream of increasing access to dental care here in Southern Nevada. The facility is available for any Clark County School District child.
They said that he needed help, so then I said okay, and that's how I found out. Hi! They gave me some paperwork, and then they told me to come over here, and I made an appointment. He had some caps on his teeth that he had because he had 2 cavities. And so they fixed his cavities and then put in the caps, and right now they're going to put the mouth gear because he's missing some teeth, so they want it to come out straight.
The dental care that is provided here at the Dental Wellness Center is very much like what you experience at a dental office. You will get digital x-rays, you will see a licensed dentist here in the state of Nevada, Dr. Erica Nieto, and she provides wonderful comprehensive dental care. So the children will have fillings, they'll have cleanings, they'll have any minor extractions that they may need, so that we can get them on a pathway.
It's so important, ages 0 to 100, it's connected to your entire body. I feel like in the past maybe it's been overlooked as not as important, but it really does connect to from your head to your toes.
Future Smiles is a 501c3 nonprofit. We balance out our care with Medicaid children as well as private philanthropy foundations like Elaine P. Wynn and Family Foundation and the Engelstadt Foundation. We have many, many foundations and funders that help support our mission. What we see is that 50% of our children have a Medicaid resource. However, the other 50% are low income and uninsured. I have a couple of points to make. First and foremost, parents need to sign their children up for Medicaid. If they're eligible, they should sign up for Medicaid because that opens the door to all healthcare products, whether it's medical, dental, vision, mental health, and all the things that a child needs to be healthy and well to do well in school. The second thing I'd like to say is oral health care matters throughout the lifespan. So kids need to, brush and floss twice a day, eat healthy foods, have good nutrition.
It's really rewarding. The population that we see, it's really rewarding. The families are very appreciative.
Oh, it means a lot because I know how it is to have bad teeth. As you know, a smile is that makes a smile in every day to everybody.
Thank you for all that you do for our students. And listen to this, Future Smiles also serves schools through a mobile unit that can provide on-site care for students in need. You can learn more at futuresmiles.net. At one local elementary school, it's Reading Week every week, all thanks to the school's wonderful namesake. Check it out.
Hi, boys and girls.
Hello, Mrs. Gibbons.
Every Friday without fail, and with her lollipops and special cards in hand.
I am special. I was chosen to go to Story and Snack with Mrs. Givens.
Mrs. Givens,
remember, nice straight line.
visits her school for Story and Snack,
A card and a sucker.
a tradition dating back to 2004 when Linda Rankin Givens Elementary School, home of the Grizzlies, first opened its doors.
I run into students that went to school here 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever, and they always ask me, are you still reading on Fridays for Story and Snack? And I'm so happy that I can say, yes, I'm still there.
One of those former students,
And they all get so excited how they hold them up and show mom and dad.
Isabella Welch, who's now a campus security monitor and cheer coach at Givens Elementary.
Miss Givens, when I went here, was like a celebrity. Going to Story and a Snack, I always remember that it was a huge treat. Everybody was so excited.
She's really nice. I like to read books with her in kindergarten and 4th grade, and she's my favorite teacher.
There's no doubt Mrs. Givens was the favorite teacher of many of her students throughout her teaching career with CCSD.
Boys and girls, when I taught school, which Mrs. Givens taught here in Las Vegas for 30 years, I taught kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grades. When I taught, I always gave my boys and girls hugs because I think it made them feel like I really cared for them, which I did.
I like that she's kind and she reads stories.
That kind and caring nature
Don't worry, Doug likes you.
has made a positive impact on the lives of so many students. And she's even inspired some of these students to follow in her footsteps.
And I hope a lot of them would become teachers. I think that would be exciting.
My eventual goal of working here now is to eventually move into teaching here. That's something that I would love to do, and I'm currently getting my degree to do that.
I love to get hugs, so when you leave today, I want you to give me a hug or a high five, okay?
I like hugs. I like to hug her. I did hugs.
And we read somebody doesn't like hugs. We like hugs. Okay, high five.
I'm so happy to say I'm a hugger too. Big thank you to Mrs. Gibbons. It was truly wonderful to witness firsthand just how much your students love and admire you. You are definitely a celebrity.
I'm President Irene Bustamante Adams, and I call this regular board meeting of May 15, 2025 to order. The time is 5 p.m. I would like to remind everyone to silence your electronic devices. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is territorial homeland of the New the Moapa Band of Paiutes and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. We're going to go ahead and take item number 1. Our opening item, our Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Trustee Biasotti. The presentation of colors will be led by the Clark High School ROTC. Please stand. Thank you. Next, agenda item 1.02. Before I open that item, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? Okay, there's a gentleman in the back. Do you know what item, sir, that you want to speak on? The last one? Okay. Then get him a public comment card. There is no public comment signed up for agenda item number 1.02. Therefore, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with the following change. Reference material has been provided for item 3.02, legislative update.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to second that motion.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. I'm going to move over to item 2.0, consent agenda information. Before I open that, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public comment card? I do have one, so hold on for just a second, Doug. Okay, I do have one person signed up. Is there any others? Okay. No, there's. And is the agenda item on the consent agenda? Okay. And this young lady right here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment section, and I'll have Doug, you come up, and also Andy, if you'd like to come up as well. Pick either mic. Yep. And this is for item 2.19 on the consent agenda for both. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hold on for a second. I need to turn your mic on. And you're welcome to sit if you want to as well. Doug. but, okay, your mic is on.
Thank you. Well, good evening, President Bustamante Adams, members of the school board, trustees, and Superintendent Ebert. My name is Doug Guild, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of North Las Vegas, and I'm here to request that consent agenda item 2.19 be pulled from the agenda this evening. I'd like to mention that approximately 7 hours ago, I attended and spoke at the Apple Corps Reading Award presentation at Elizabeth Wilhelm Elementary School, where they were recognized as the top reading school in North Las Vegas. They were recognized for the most minutes of reading during the school year, of which 622 hours occurred during the Safekey morning and afternoon sessions. For over 30 years, the Open Schools, Open Doors policy has enabled meaningful partnerships between local governments and the Clark County School District. Through this collaboration, the City of North Las Vegas Parks and Recreation Department currently provides Safekey programming at 20 elementary school sites, serving more than 2,200 students with safe, structured, before and after school care. This program is a vital support system for working families and a trusted extension of the school day. It reflects our shared commitment to student success, safety, and community well-being. That is why we respectfully join other public agencies in Southern Nevada and request the board pull consent item 2.19. Let's protect what's already been working for our students, our families, and our communities. Thank you for your time and continued partnership.
Thank you for being here. Andy, please proceed.
Thank you, Board Superintendent Ebert. Thank you for your time. We have a item on the consent agenda to allow the Boys and Girls Club to go into J.D. Smith Middle School to provide after-school programming. We have a joint federal grant with communities and schools and have been held up to be able to deliver services that we are funded to provide because we can't get the MOU to move forward. It's been several years in the process, and we're just trying to get this to move forward. I know there's some pushback from the municipalities, but I don't have the budget or the people to take over the world. So this is really about serving one middle school and provide after-school services for them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, that ends public comment. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Madam President.
Trustee Barron.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
Yes.
jumping the gun there. You were looking right at me. So, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the condition that we pull agenda item 2.19. Is it 2.1? I'm sorry. 2.19. I request that we pull 2.19 off the agenda to discuss. Other than that, to approve the agenda as written.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Barron to approve the consent agenda with the exception of pulling 2.19 off the consent agenda for discussion. Do I have a second? Trustee Biasotti?
I would like to second that motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 4-3. Yeah. Okay, so now we will move to agenda item 2.19. I'd like to ask I'd like to ask Mr. Story to come up because there are some questions. Trustee Stevens.
Thank you. So I'm going to be honest, I don't have a ton of questions. are we doing discussion as well? Okay, great.
Yes.
So from a discussion standpoint, not really questions, I've read over this this MOU, and what I see here is an opportunity, just like we've had with communities and schools, and just like we have with Safe Key and many other amazing partners that come into our schools and provide services for our kids, that this is one more partner that wants to do something good for our kids where we don't have after school or before school care for these kids. This gentleman talked about 2,200 students. That's amazing, but we do serve almost 300,000 students. So there's definitely some gaps. We have schools that I know of, for a fact, I've talked to the educators where the parents will drop off their students really, really early when school is not starting for another hour, hour and a half, and teachers are showing up early just to be there for these kids. Staff members are showing up early just to give them shelter so they can come into the school. Some of these schools are begging for that extra resource, and Boys and Girls Club is stepping up and saying, we'll fill the gap. The contract clearly states that where there are already services, they're not trying to step in. In fact, this particular MOU is just for one school. So I'm having a hard time understanding why this is an issue if it's good for our kids. And I think that this is great for our kids.
Thank you. Trustee Johnson?
Thank you. I just had a technical question on, I guess this is page 3 of 15, section 2, part B, number 2. It says they'll charge $30 a year per child. That is the accurate amount? So it's a $30 fee, so one child pays $30 for August to May? Wow. All right. And then the other question, and I don't know if you all can answer this, is how does this agreement align or conflict with the standing agreement that already exists? And is there a way to make sure that the two are in alignment?
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story, Chief Communications Officer for the record. I'm to identify the conflict with
the he mentioned the
open doors.
Open doors, open.
I would defer to legal counsel to answer that question.
Yes, John Okazaki, General Counsel for the record. I've just been made aware of the concern regarding a potential conflict with this agreement and an existing agreement with the City of North Las Vegas, I believe. I looked at it briefly. There does appear to be a right of first refusal for the city. I would not make a definitive opinion right now because I haven't had a chance to review the contract in detail, but it appears to be there. I don't necessarily mean that, think that that's necessarily a conflict, because if there is a first refusal right, they would have the option to use the property and put in place, a safe key program there. And if they didn't, then we could go into the next agreement and offer that opportunity to somebody else. So it's quite possible that even if there is a right of first refusal for another city agency, that wouldn't necessarily make this unworkable. We would just have to make sure we honor any existing provisions with any of our existing contracts before we implement this one.
Got it. So what I heard was, I'd like to repeat back so make sure I'm understanding properly. One, there's a right of first refusal for the municipality. Two, we have to ensure that the school follows that protocol. And then three, whatever entities are already there, we want to make sure that they are able to remain there. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my general position right now. But again, I would probably appreciate the opportunity to review all of these agreements in greater detail, focusing on this potential conflict.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to know if we had reviewed any possible competitor situation between the Boys and Girls Club and the City of North Las Vegas.
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story, Chief Communication Officer for the record. I'm not aware of any conflicts that have existed previously. This is an attempt by one organization to have a program in a specific school. There is no program in that school currently.
Is there a safe key?
No.
Is there any other before and after school program that could be perceived as a competitor?
Not at J.D. Smith, no.
Okay. And I reviewed this in our preliminary meeting, and I thought this was a great thing for kids. And I do not see any conflict at this time for this.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. I believe we had a briefing on this. The trustees all had a briefing on this, and I'm going to go back and ask one of my colleagues, Trustee Johnson. I believe you were the one that asked the question. I don't have my notes here in front of me, but I believe you asked the question having to do with the principals and the autonomy that they would have. And the question was, do they have that option, that choice? And I believe the answer was yes. Is that correct? Okay. And if we do not approve this tonight, with just the questions that my colleague, Trustee Dominguez, was just asking, J.D. Smith, which is the only school I believe that we're starting with right now, they would not have an after-school program. Is that correct?
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story for the record, they would not, if this program does not go into place, there would be no program that we know of at J.D. Smith at this time.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is I believe that it does say because I was contacted by a municipality, so I took special care to read over the MOA this afternoon and to go over every single line as I want to do. And I believe that this is a good thing. I understand the concerns from the municipalities, but I did go over them, and I know they were talking about as far as violation of open doors policy. And I believe it says right in the MOA that this has already been vetted. Is that correct? It's been legally vetted by our legal team?
Correct. That is correct.
It has been.
Trustee Cavazos.
Okay, so I would have to say that Boys and Girls Club has been an amazing partner with us throughout the years. We have all kinds, numerous things that we have done with them. They've always come through. And I understand the concerns of the municipalities. In this particular instance, I do not see it as a violation. And to think that there would be a school, and I believe it's in Trustee Zamora's district, J.D. Smith, or is it Trustee Henry? No, it's Trustee Zamora. I would hate to think of these children not having that program. As far as Safe Key, believe me, my kids would not have survived me if I had not had Safe Key with all my different schedules. So I'm a big fan of Safe Key. This particular instance, I think that this is a good thing for our schools. So that is how I feel right now.
Thank you. Trustee Badron?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam President. Mr. Story, Mr. Story, I have a question for you. Are you aware of the community access agreement that was entered between the CCSD and the City of North Las Vegas on the 13th day of June, 1995?
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, I'm aware of the agreement, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a pretty clear agreement here, right? Look, I am the first one to say that I love the Boys and Girls Club. We had two in Ward 1, but we have one called the James Clubhouse. If you've never been there, you should try going there. I think they service 6 schools. It's a fantastic place. We have buy-in from the Vegas Golden Knights, who actually put in a skating rink there, right? They're doing fantastic things. We're just there like the week before because they had our police had a wonderful event where hundreds of kids showed up, right? It was fantastic. We had another one called the Montana Unit that unfortunately went away, and we love the Boys and Girls Club. However, there's this agreement, and there's process. And what the big deal is, the City of North Las Vegas is not against the Boys and Girls Club. We're all for children. The city's made a very substantial investment to do everything it can to support CCSD. But there is legalities and there are processes. And quite frankly, I think our attorney still has not had a chance really to review the letter that was written by our city manager, who is a pretty good attorney in her own right, that was just drafted and hasn't had, I don't think he's had a chance to review that. What I think what the city is asking for is for a little bit of time, not to prevent the Boys and Girls Club from coming in, but rather a chance to have the city talk with our district leadership and hammer out agreement that is faithful to this community service, community access agreement that I have right here, right? That I think most of us have probably forgotten about. Back in 1995, I still had a mullet. I was still in college, okay? Yeah, it was a long time ago, right? It's a very old agreement, right? And I think if we had just a little bit of time, right, to talk about this, we could probably table this to our next meeting and probably have something that we could bring back to this board that'd be clean and would actually allay any doubts that the municipalities, including the city of North Las Vegas, might have with this agreement. Again, we're not asking for a permanent break. We're asking like a tapping of the brakes, right, so we can work out this agreement and it works out for everybody and it's nice and legal. We want to make sure that, of course, we honor agreements, that we honor agreements, and that we foster a good partnership with all the partners. We're all in this together, and we signed agreements, decades ago to share these facilities, these resources, and so I think that's what it was expressed to me, and. And it's not that we hate the Boys and Girls Club. We're just asking for just a little bit of time to work out the legalities.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's enough. I've said enough.
Trustee Dominguez?
Madam President, thank you. I'm going to say this with a lot of respect. I know we wear a lot of hats outside of here. However, this is, I'm going to say this with a lot of kindness. You've made a lot of we statements. When you're here at the dais, I would kindly ask if you kept your position as a trustee here and your position at North Las Vegas separate. And I know, and I say this with a lot of kindness and respect, that this to give your opinion as in the North Las Vegas arena. It is very. I'm trying to say this as kindly as I can. It's not. There's a huge conflict here, and I can hear it, and I just want to point that out, that I see the conflict, and I'm just noting it.
Thank you, Trustee Henry.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to ask. I think I heard that there was a grant involved in for this program. Do we know the terms of that grant and the duration of that grant? Oh.
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, we don't have the details or the language of the grant specifically. We just know that there is a federal grant, as was referred to previously, to provide this program through communities and schools.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Zamora?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to clarify, this is all legal, because there was, some nuggets of words being dropped. This is all have been passed through our legal department. And this, I want to remind our colleagues, this has been an issue since March. They reached out. We've been delaying this. We are very behind on this MOA. The school has reached out, and we desperately need it, right, in that area. My kids rarely depend on after-school programs as well, so I know that this is an issue for our community. So I just wanted to remind folks of that, and it's legal. Been through our legal department. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Okazaki?
Yes, thank you, John Okazaki, General Counsel again. I just want to make it clear. So this contract has been reviewed by legal. The conflict or the conflict being presented today by the City of North Las Vegas has not been reviewed by legal. So when we receive a contract, legal does not go out into our universe and see if it conflicts with any other agreement. We look at the provisions of the contract that we're reviewing, and we were okay with this contract, the way it was written, complies with all of our required provisions. I was not aware that there was a potential conflict with another existing agreement, and as I indicated, when I took a very quick look at it, I did see a provision for a right of first refusal. Again, I need to look at it more carefully to determine whether there are any conditions to that right, what those conditions are, does it apply in this situation? Even if it did, my opinion is that it could still be consistent. We would just offer the city of North Las Vegas the first right to put in a program, and if they declined or delayed or whatever, we could say, we gave you the opportunity, we're going to move on to our next provider. So they could still live together. But I wanted to be clear that the Office of General Counsel did not review this contract in relation to any potential conflict with an existing agreement.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I apologize. I do want to point out to our fellow trustees on page 7, the term. So it is subject to any termination, renewal, or extension. I just wanted to point that out, and that if this has been a upcoming process, or a process that's been brought up to us previously, the municipalities have had the opportunity to have already provided that resource to our schools. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Barron?
Yeah, I really don't see this as a zero-sum game. I think, as has been asked by the city of North Vegas, I think they're not asking for you to a black and white thing here, to stop this process or to continue, but rather a consideration to work out some time. Our legal counsel himself has asked for a little bit of time to review a potential conflict. I don't think it'd be asking too much to table this to probably a meeting that'll be coming up here in June to give him a little bit of time to review this. And if there are any potential conflicts, hey, there are phone calls that could be made, or arrangements that can be made, and something that would come back to this board that would be probably presentable to all sides. There is also a provision in this contract. You know, even if this board decides to, I'm just pointing this out. Even if this board goes ahead and decides to go with this approval, there is a fallback position to where our city manager will have to work things out with our superintendent. So, so even if this board does decide to go forward, right, that is part of the contract. I don't know. Our counselor has not had a chance to review that, but once he does, he will find out that I'm right about that. So again, I would just ask for a chance to tap the brakes and table this to a very soon meeting.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti?
Thank you, Madam President. I would be in favor of giving our council more time to, so that he can look this over and that this can come back to us with clearer language, also reflecting what our council has stated. So a lot of valid points have been made, and for that reason, I would be in favor of tabling this item.
Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. And just a clarifying point here, asking Mr. Okazaki and also Mr. Story. So if it says in the MOA that this has been vetted, and then I think that Vice President Zamora asked if this was legal, who was it vetted by? Was it vetted by the Office of the General Counsel?
John Okazaki, General Counsel, for the record, yes. Like I said, when the Office of General Counsel is asked to review a contract, we review it for the exact provisions within the contract, making sure that it meets all of our requirements from a legal standpoint. We do not conduct an independent evaluation as to whether it conflicts with any existing agreements. So we do not do that. That is probably the responsibility of the content expert or the substance expert of the agreement.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Okazaki. And then, having said that, I just want to make sure I'd gotten that correct. Having said that, even with that instance of not having reviewed it in light of a potential conflict, you are stating that you do not see a problem with this.
From my cursory review of the agreement that is potentially in conflict, the conflict seems to be we would need to offer the city of North Las Vegas the first right to use the facilities for an after-school or before-school program. They would have the right to first refusal. So I'm not sure if that has been done before already and they've refused, or whether we need to do that now before we allow Boys and Girls Club. But from my cursory view, it looks like that's the scenario, so that we have an agreement in place that gives another city agency the right to first use the property, the facilities. If they don't want to, or they delay too long, we could then move over to the next provider.
Okay, thank you. And I didn't know if Mr. Story wanted to add on anything to that. You're good?
Thank you. Trustee Stevens?
So this is a question for General Counsel. Could it be considered first right of refusal if they have that open door to go into the schools and that schools had a need for some time and didn't go into the school? Is it fair to say that it's open, like it's been a long time, that's why they're knocking on our door saying, can we please get this help?
No, that's not a refusal. So just they have the opportunity, they didn't take advantage of the opportunity, that's not a refusal. So first right of refusal is, before we give it to somebody else, we first offer it to them, they refuse, either by verbal or by action, and then we can move on. So again, that's why I'm saying this, the Boys and Girls Club contract in and of itself does not conflict with the City of North Las Vegas agreement. We just have to make sure they both are applied appropriately, which means we give City of North Las Vegas first refusal, and if they refuse, then we can move on to City Boys and Girls Club.
So we could potentially move forward with this tonight if we wanted to.
Sure.
And you would just continue the conversation?
Yeah, I would look at the agreement, make sure we're complying with our existing agreement when we're implementing the Boys and Girls Club agreement. Does that make sense?
Great, yeah.
Now, the only thing that I asked for was, if in fact I see some glaring conflict between it where we cannot reconcile that, that's a problem, but I mean, it happens in contractual law, so I would give legal advice as to how we manage that. I'm telling you, we have an existing agreement with City of North Las Vegas. I would recommend, or, it would always be my advice that we comply with that. If we now enter an agreement with a different vendor or a different organization, I'm going to have to make sure that both are consistent. And if there's a conflict, then I will give you advice on how we reconcile that or how we go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Johnson?
That was going to be my question, and I want to make sure I heard it properly. Both can exist simultaneously. Both contracts can exist simultaneously, so far as each is being respected, meaning the City of North Las Vegas' contract supersedes to some degree the Boys and Girls Club contract, meaning they have the right of first refusal. If they decline that right, then we go down the list, but that has no bearing on them both being able to be enforced and acting simultaneously, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And when I read the letter, again, everything's pretty cursory, but my understanding was that the big concern, or that the asserted violation, was the fact that they were not given the right of first refusal. I looked at the contract very quickly. I see that provision in there. So yeah, that is something that we would have to go through, and then if they refuse, let Boys and Girls Club come in.
And then what I also heard was, and I just want to make sure I'm clear, is that if after this contract is enacted, if you do come to learn that there are conflicts that prevent the two from being able to coexist, you will provide us with counsel on how to rectify that situation, meaning we could make an amendment to one of the contracts. I imagine the newer contract will probably be amended, but regardless, we could make an amendment to either of the contracts to ensure that they are not in conflict, so that we can continue to move forward simultaneously.
Yes, and there is a termination clause in the Boys and Girls Club contract that would allow us to terminate with 45-day notice if there's an incurable defect.
Got it. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to add, I have a question, Mr. Story. So, yes, several municipalities, not just North Las Vegas, but Henderson, City of Las Vegas as well, also had the concern. I think there's just a lot of miscommunication. But we know that the end result is we want services for those kids that have not had the service. So my question is, Have you been in contact with any of the municipalities, and what is the thought process after if we take a vote and move on this?
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story for the record. So yes, I have been in contact, and the team has been in contact with multiple members of various municipalities. I've spoken to the City of Las Vegas. I've spoken to Parks and Rec at Henderson, but only discovered this letter this afternoon, late this afternoon, when it was delivered to us at some point today. So, but yes, we've had conversations with those other entities. They did express some concerns, but they felt comfortable with the language in the contract, meaning that this was only for one school specifically, that the program would only be extended to that school, and that what was the other things that were shared were more around the idea that of the expansion, the possible expansion of Boys and Girls Club to other schools, and that's where the focus of the conversations were. But then I pointed out that within the contract, item number 8 says specifically that they cannot pursue placement of the program where there are programs substantially similar in schools that already exist. And then the final caveat within the contract is that we always retain the right to say yes or no to those contracts.
Thank you. Trustee Barron, and then I'm going to call for the question.
Thank you again. Actually, I do have a question, but I'll point out again, look, we dusted off this agreement. It was actually typewritten out. It was signed by Mayor Seastrand, right, who has long since passed away, and Susan Brager, legendary. I mean, she was around for a long time. Okay, I just will point out one thing here. There is a bit of a dispute here. Section 10 here that says dispute resolutions. I'm just going to read this out for the record. In the event of any dispute or difference arising from the terms and conditions of this agreement or from the use or proposed use of a facility, said dispute or difference shall be referred to the city manager and superintendent of the district or of their designee for resolution. Our counselor has not had a chance to review in full this agreement, and I think the most prudent thing would be to give him the opportunity to use his abilities to go ahead and negotiate this. I myself, being on here, I see no dispute in what I'm doing. There is no conflict there's no conflict of interest in what I'm doing here. It is my duty also as a member of this board to make sure I'm protecting the interests of this board, including our legal interests. So there's no resolution. I do have a question, but the question would be for I'm sorry, I always forget your name. Could I direct a question? It's just a procedural question.
I don't think that that was during public comment, Mr. Barron.
Well, I guess the question would be very simple. How long does the facility is up and running. It's got electricity. It's got air conditioning. How much time does he need to actually establish his program to get it running? Would 1 month notice be enough? That might be something that my colleagues might want to weigh in their decision. If we had enough time to have our legal counsel review this agreement, and if he feels that there is a dispute, perhaps the dispute can be resolved well before it comes back to this board. If he feels that there is no conflict, the board can always come back and immediately approve this, right? But the big thing is we want services for J.D. Smith, right? The question is, how long does he need to get services up and running at J.D. Smith? And I think that'd be very germane to this conversation.
Mr. Story, do you know the answer to that question?
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story for the record, I do not know the answer to that question. I just know that he's been waiting.
Thank you so much. With calling the question, then I will entertain a motion. Trustee Stevens?
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve 2.19 as is.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Trustee Barron?
No, actually, I don't have a second. I guess I'll wait the vote on this first motion.
Trustee Cavazos, do I have a second?
Yes. Sorry, I will second Trustee Stevens' motion.
Thank you. I have a first and a second to go ahead and approve item 2.19. If you can please cast your votes. Okay, that motion passes 6-1. Thank you so much for the healthy deliberation, and I appreciate the respect and the quorum that you guys have as a team. We're going to go ahead and move to Trustee Henry. Please read the warrants.
Thank you, Madam President. The ratified warrants is listed in the bills payable transmittal and board memorandum number 19-24-25 in the total amount of $79,482,693.18.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 3.01. This is our compliance monitoring update. Ms. Keene, if you could come forth. This is an action item, so before I open it, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? Seeing none, then we'll close that. And Ms. Keene, if you can please proceed.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Trustees, and Superintendent Ebert. I'm Yolanda King, the Compliance Monitor for Clark County School District. I am here to provide for you or give you an update on the corrective action plan that was submitted by Clark County School District. You may recall that this process started back in November of 2024. Where there was a notice of noncompliance with the NRS 387 and 388G. And that's what was the action that was requiring a corrective action plan. So also, as part of that corrective action plan, there were a couple of problem statements that were identified, some root causes that were also identified with regard to what was causing the, or related to the problem statements. And the Clark County School District, as part of its corrective action plan, put together 7 goals to be able to alleviate those root causes for the problems, as well as 29 action steps. So there were 29 action steps that the Clark County School District noted that they would take in order to become in compliance with NRS 388G as well as 387. So today, I'm very pleased to report to you that of the 29 action steps, the Clark County School District has completed 26 of those steps. I have reviewed and confirmed with the verification of documents that have been attached. And I also want to make note that the agenda item for reporting on the plan every month, the attachment to this agenda item does include the corrective action plan, and it has also included the progress of each of those action steps. So just at a very high level today, I just wanted to report that 26 of those steps have been completed. It's very commendable, particularly in the amount of time that the school district was able to put the plan together, as well as to complete those action steps. The 3 remaining action steps that are in progress are all related to or dependent upon the hiring of a chief financial officer. So that's why you have the 3 remaining steps. But I have confidence that we will have those resolved very, very soon, particularly before the next compliance monitoring report in June. Of those 3 remaining steps, I just want to point out what those 3 items are. So on page 6 of the attachment, you have item number 1.13B, which is the action step is to utilize an open recruitment process to recruit both internal and external candidates to hire a permanent chief financial officer. And then the second item that remains outstanding is item 1.13.3D, which is also noted on page 6 of the report. And that action step is to develop and implement a staffing model aligned to meet the needs of the school budget cycle and the per-centered funding plan. I think in order for the district to complete that, we would need to have a CFO on board to help participate and put that plan together, and obviously become familiar with what the staffing model looks like. And then the third action that remains outstanding is actually on page 15 of the attachment. And that is, actually, I have my page numbers incorrect. It's item 1.3.1B. And I apologize, page 9. I wrote down the wrong page number. Page 9, which is to develop and implement a monthly monitoring cycle for central services budgets to prepare for unforeseen expenses. Again, I believe that the CFO would need to be on board to at least help participate in putting together what that monitoring cycle and what some of the monitoring reports would look like. What the plan is going forward is that at the June meeting, the second June meeting, my plan will be to present to you a detailed summary of each of those action steps, the evaluation of each of those steps, confirming that the school district has completed those action steps. Also, what I think is important as part of this process is I will also be providing some ongoing recommendations for the school district. I know we've talked about a few of those over the last few months with regard to some improvements that the school district can make. But I would like to provide just some recommendations for ongoing improvements that are not going to hold up the reporting of this to the state, but just keep in mind as you go through the process and to help solidify and ensure that going forward that the school district continues to remain in compliance with NRS 387 and 388G. It is also my plan that before that meeting that I will be meeting with Superintendent Ebert to review the evaluation and most importantly to go over those recommendations so that she is aware and would agree that those recommendations need to occur moving forward. And then once we have that report complete, and like I said, I'm hoping that the final report can be issued to the State Department of Education with the result of hiring a CFO, and then we can finalize this part of the process and deem Clark County School District in compliance. So with that, Madam President, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. So if trustees can sign up for questions, I want to, Ms. Keene, if you can express our gratitude as a team to the governor for the technical assistance. It has been phenomenal to have you guide us, and so thank you also for the training that you've provided to us on the budget, teaching us more in-depth knowledge than we've ever had. So I just want to express and thank you to the staff. The fact that you guys got to 26 out of the 29 in that amount of time, amazing. Thank you for your due diligence. I know it took a lot of hard work on the back end that people didn't see. So thank you. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. And I am going to second what you said because that's truly how we feel. We do appreciate you coming here, and we appreciate the governor for appointing you down here. I know last time, and I was trying to look at my notes, you had mentioned a software system you were trying to adapt to. Where are we in that process, and how will it be applied here? And I know it's to project future income, but where are we, and when are we going to start applying it?
So if you will recall, the action step was for staff to research and identify a system, and so the reason that's deemed complete is that that's what staff actually did. And so taking this a little bit farther, there were some questions from the information technology department and wanting to make sure that the finance team did their due diligence with regard to going and visiting other government agencies in terms of determining what other systems were used by other local government agencies. So my understanding is that the finance team went and met with the city of Las Vegas to assess the system that they're using, not the one that is being recommended, but they were meeting with they have met with the city of Las Vegas to review the budget system that they're using. And in addition to that, I believe they had another demonstration of another software program that was recommended by the IT department. And so the finance team has gone through and reviewed that other product. And my understanding is they are still in favor of the Sherpa or the UNA system that we discussed. The next step is that the finance team will present this information, their due diligence that has occurred, to the IT governance, the Clark County School District's IT governance committee, which is, there's another meeting within a week or two, I believe. I think it's in the next 2 weeks, before the end of May. And once hopefully that approval occurs, then the contract, from my understanding, will come back to the trustees, hopefully first part of June, we'll see. But then that would still allow them to be on track with a start date, start of implementation in July, and still be able to meet the timelines for the preparation of the fiscal 27 budget.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. This is an action item, so I would entertain a motion to accept there is no public comment. I would entertain a motion to accept the compliance monitoring update. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. This time I'd like to make a motion to accept Agenda Item 3.01, Compliance Monitoring Update, and also too with my thanks to Ms. King. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez?
I'd like to second the motion.
I have a first and a second. Will you please cast your votes? That motion passes 7-0. Next, we have 3.02. It's a legislative update. This is not an action item. I'd like to invite Mr. Story, and I don't know if Dr. Keating is online.
Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent Ebert, Todd Story, for the record, yes. Dr. Keating is joining us from Carson City in northern Nevada. He will take over and provide our latest legislative update.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Good evening, trustees. This is Brad Keating for the record. I miss you all in person. It's probably better for you to just hear my voice instead of seeing my face. But today marks day 102 of the 2025 legislative session. Since our last update to the board, we've seen continued movement on key legislation. The next major deadline is tomorrow, May 16th, which is the final day for bills to pass out of committee in the second house. So it's been very busy with many committees hearing bills late into the night and voting them out of their committees in order to keep them alive. To give you all an idea, on Wednesday, the Nevada Independent reported that there were more than 275 bills that had not received an exemption or a waiver and hadn't passed out of their second committee yet. So the last few days and tomorrow will be a busy one. So next week's report, we will let you know how many bills did not move past this deadline. I also wanted to let the board and the public know that might be listening that this is the time in session where the rules end up becoming suspended and deadlines may change. For instance, a rule of the legislature currently is that a bill cannot go to the floor for a final vote until the bill has been reprinted by the Legislative Counsel Bureau with an amendment included in a clean copy. Today, Majority Leader Canizaro announced her intentions on Monday, this upcoming Monday, that she will begin waiving rules so that bills could move faster through the process. She also indicated there will be multiple floor sessions each day and agendas can be posted at any time. So over the next few weeks, legislative rules will be suspended so that bills could move through the process in a quicker fashion. Our priority bill, Assembly Bill 48, currently regarding bullying, was on the Senate floor earlier today. All votes were pushed to tomorrow. So we anticipate a vote taking place tomorrow. If passed, then that bill would move to the governor's desk for signature. Earlier this morning, Speaker Yeager had a bill heard Assembly Bill 398. Wanted to make you aware of this bill looks to create a program that provides a mechanism outside of the state education fund for providing money to school districts for the purpose of funding additional compensation for hard to fill and high vacancy positions for licensed educators. So modeled very similarly off the way CCSD and CCEA implemented the previously run SB 231 program, this would allow all districts in the state to run similar programming to what we had. So AB 398 also creates a mechanism within that bill to provide raises to charter school teachers who were left out of last year's SB 231 dollars last session. The funding for this bill is currently is currently up for discussion. The speaker has requested taking $90 million currently from the state's rainy day fund in order to pay for AB 398, which will receive certainly some debate in the legislature over the next few days and weeks over what money to take out of the rainy day fund. I also wanted to keep the board informed that the hearing for Senate Bill 460, that's the education bill sponsored by Majority Leader Cannizzaro, that's been scheduled for Monday. We continue to engage with the Majority Leader, her team, key stakeholders to address concerns and collaborate on possible adjustments to the bill. We do anticipate there being amendments brought during the hearing that day. Yesterday afternoon, Governor Lombardo's education bill was introduced on the floor as Assembly Bill 584. That was referred to Ways and Means in the Assembly, and we're awaiting a time for that bill to potentially be heard potentially at the end of next week. Finally, the Legislative Council Bureau is currently drafting all of the final 5 funding bills that have to be brought to the legislature, including the K-12 funding bill. We anticipate that those bills be completed by Legislative Council Bureau on Monday, and then those bills will begin moving through the process so that we will have final numbers, budget numbers for our budget team to begin reviewing and providing you. Before I close, I wanted to bring the board's attention to tonight's backup materials, especially as you look at it. We took some bills and highlighted them in green, so I wanted to touch on those. So we are actively monitoring legislation every single day that may result in a fiscal impact to the district. To date, CCSD and our budget team have submitted fiscal notes on 20 bills. In some cases, costs are undetermined. We cannot provide a solid estimate. However, for those bills where the budget and finance team have been able to provide strong estimates, the projected cost of unfunded mandates for bills currently alive right now for the upcoming biennium is approximately $161.2 million. So as bills are revised through the process, oftentimes these dollar amounts are lessened, but the district is not asked to revise its fiscal notes, but wanted to let you all know of the size and scope of bills that are currently alive, the effects that they may have on the district. So throughout the session, over the next 18 days, we will continue to communicate our concerns regarding unfunded mandates, as it is a board priority, and we'll continue to advocate on behalf of the district to ensure these impacts are recognized and hopefully addressed. Before I open up for questions, I do want to congratulate my colleague and partner in crime, Nathaniel Waugh. He's in Las Vegas currently and will receive his doctorate from UNLV over the next few days. So we're incredibly proud of him. And wish him and his family great success and are just proud of him. With that, I'm happy to open to any questions or comments the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. Trustee Zamora?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, team. As always, congratulations, Nathaniel, if you're listening. Probably not. You're probably getting ready. I appreciate the total amount of the bills, right? And I know there's over 20 bills that are active with a fiscal impact. Do we know what bill currently carries the biggest fiscal note for CCSD?
If you can provide me a few seconds, I will pull that up and I can come back to that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, no pressure, Dr. Keating, for...
No, nobody else wants to ask me a question?
Yes, I have one. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I think we're all kind of waiting with just holding our breath to see what's going on down there, because they definitely steer the ship. So my question was, we had, and I appreciate your updates for our biweekly meeting, because our meetings before this, because it definitely helps prep us for this. And then, of course, it changes every time. I think you're the only person with this briefing that continuously changes so frequently. There was if I could recall, there was the school buses that was going on, and then there was one that we had spoke about, and I was trying to look at my notes here, if I can pull them up really quickly. That was, we were all kind of monitoring. Nope, I'm on the wrong page. I'm on the right page, okay. It was SB 460, obviously that's Nicole Canizaro's bill, but I think we're all kind of waiting. Do you hear anything about how negotiations are going on with the governor's bill and the two different parties?
Yeah, I can start by answering that question. So SB 460 and the Assembly bill by the governor, I can tell you that this is, let me start by just saying, I think this is probably one of the most policy-heavy legislative sessions that I've seen in my time since 2017. There are, what I am encouraged by is that legislators and the governor have been very clear about they've had more conversations over the last week to week and a half than they've had in many sessions previously. So I think what you will find is they're having conversations, they're talking. We will see what comes out on Monday in a final, in a current version, I guess, bill of Senator Canizaro. But I would anticipate seeing a number of similarities at the end of the day between both bills and some negotiations and agreement between them. That's what everybody's expecting in leadership. I know that's what they're all striving for.
Thank you.
Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Keeney, I wanted to ask you, do we know what time Senator Canizaro's bill is going to be heard on Monday?
It's Brad Kidding for the record, I apologize. It's currently scheduled for Monday at 1 o'clock.
Thank you so much. That's all I had, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti?
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Keating, hi. I had a question on AB 156, Erica Mosca's bill regarding the salaries and wages of the school board members. I know it's been amended. I was reading briefly over it, but if the deadline is tomorrow, is there still a chance that there's going to be a hearing on it before it does die out of committee?
Let me just make sure, Brad Keating for the record, that I believe that bill, it does not have an exempt, it's not exempted. I do not know, and I do not believe that bill will move forward in its current phase. My guess is what will happen is that from hearing in the building is that this bill may be turned into a study or something that's reviewed over the interim and brought back next session.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Anything can change in the next day, but that's what I currently believe. Yeah.
I did have another question on AB 416. I believe that was the bill that would require any school board member or any other community member, if they wanted to remove an inappropriate book or material, to petition the courts or be charged with a felony. Is AB 416 still moving on?
That Brad Kidding for the record, that bill is still alive. It is exempt, but it has not had any action. Nothing's moved on that bill since it was passed through Assembly Judiciary on April 11th. So it still would need to go to the floor of the Assembly for a final vote, then move to Senate committee, and then Senate for a full vote before going to the governor.
And the deadline for that is when exactly?
Because that bill is exempt, that can happen anytime in the session. So they have until the last day on that bill.
And the last day is June 4th or 5th?
That
Third.
do not extend my legislative time, please. That the last day is 11:59 p.m. on June 2nd.
Okay, thank you so much for the updates.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I did find the one that I was looking for. It was for AB 533, the school choice, school zone choice.
Yep.
Zoning.
That bill, Brad Keating for the record, the bus camera bill, I was trying to say it there. That bill is moving forward. It was heard yesterday afternoon in Senate committee, and it was work sessioned immediately with a unanimous support of that bill. So now it will move to the Senate floor for a final vote before going to the governor's desk.
My apologies, Dr. Keating. I might have wrote the number down. I thought it was for the school zone for parents to choose their area. I thought it was 533 is what I wrote.
I apologize. I was just excited about the bus camera bill. Yes,
We did talk about that in our briefing. Yes, thank you.
The bill for open enrollment. So Assembly Bill 533. We have that bill is currently in Assembly Ways and Means. We have worked with the stakeholders, with Opportunity 180, with Assembly Member Torres Fawcett. We've come to a resolution all school districts can currently support and move forward. So we are supportive of that bill and moving forward and using our COSA process as kind of the premier piece of what's done now, but with some tweaks to it. I will say it will be interesting to see how that bill moves forward now, just based on within Governor Lombardo's bill. And granted, it's a big bill and it just came out yesterday, but there are pieces of that bill that also provide open enrollment options. So I think what we will see is discussions between both of those pieces of writing and see what will work in the end.
Are there any costs associated with these tweaks?
Within Assemblymember Torres Fawcett's bill currently, there are no dollars associated with it, only because it requires a study on transportation if we had to do transportation for people that are using the open enrollment process. So that's not a cost other than for us to review and for the legislature to have an idea of what the cost would be. Within the governor's piece of legislation, currently it is mandated that if you are at a school with a certain star rating or a certain percentile of a school, that you be given the opportunity to move to another school. If that occurs, there are pieces of that bill that allow for transportation to be taken care of, either where we would pay directly to the parent or that transportation would be provided. But there are pieces in that bill and the governor's bill that mandate transportation. And that fiscal note has not, we just got the bill, so we've just been asked for a fiscal note, and we have not analyzed that fully yet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you. Dr. Keating knew that I'd come back and I'd find more. Dr. Keating, could you give us a quick kind of update on two Senate bills? SB 115 makes various changes relating to bilingual education. I think that's with Senator Cruz Crawford, the first one. And the second one, SB 161, revises provisions relating to local government employees, and that's with Senator Wynn. And also, could we find out if we have if CCSD has any stance on that, or if we are neutral?
I appreciate the questions. So starting with Senate Bill 115, that is a bilingual education bill, increasing the ability for school districts to offer bilingual programming. The bill was amended, and we worked with Senator Cruz Crawford on that bill. So the school district is supporting that bill. and has been supportive of that as it's moved through the Senate. The other bill that you asked about, I believe, was Senate Bill 161, and that is was brought by Senator Rochelle Wynn. That is the teacher strike bill, which allows teachers in some circumstances, as long as they go petition a court and a district judge approve them, and in a few different reasons for why they would support them, that bill would move. It would allow teachers to strike in some capacity. Now, the district has opposed that bill. All superintendents, as well as the School Boards Association, opposed that bill when it was heard that evening. It immediately was work sessioned after support and opposition, and it moved forward through the committee. It has not received a vote on the Senate floor. I do anticipate the reason this bill was brought forward and it was made public during the hearing is there's the potential of a ballot question going out about a teacher strike. What's trying to happen, and Senator Wynn made it clear, is that instead of a question going out and providing full opportunities for teachers to strike, could there be a collaborative bill and a pared down version of a bill that gives teachers some additional rights, but not to the full capacity that they would in this bill, in this ballot initiative? So that's what she's trying to do here. I do believe this bill will be pared down from what it currently looks like, and we will see if the Senate votes on it, and then it'll go to the Assembly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Keene. So just to be clear, on 161, both NAS and NASB have opposed that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I think that concludes our questions, but Dr. Keating, do you have an answer for Trustee Zamora on the most expensive unfunded mandate item on the list?
Bum, bum, bum. Brad Keating for the record. Yes, I do. And that is, there's a bill, Senate Bill 396 from Senator Rogich that creates mandates for new sizes of, or the special education caseloads. It limits those caseloads to a smaller amount. It also, it makes various changes to special education. That has a total over the biennium, over the 2-year period, of a $70 million fiscal note for us. Close behind is Assembly Bill 462, which is an economic development bill, and has a lot of pieces of CTE in there, and that bill is $66.7 million. So those are the two winners of large fiscal notes this year, and we're working with both of those sponsors to see what we can do, or if they'll move forward.
Thank you. This is not an action item, so we don't have any public comment. Thank you, Dr. Keating. Thank you, Mr. Story. We're going to go ahead and move on to 3.03. This is critical HVAC. This is not an action item.
Well, good evening, trustees, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. For the record, Brandon McLaughlin, Assistant Superintendent for our Construction Development Division. I'm joined today by Mr. Stephen Molina, Coordinator 4 with our Construction Management Department, and he oversees our site-funded project team and is one of our very specialized talents in HVAC modernization work throughout the district. Also joined by Mr. Tom Nizatich, Assistant Superintendent for our Facilities Management team, who leads our robust maintenance effort across the district. Together, we're here to present an essential and very timely initiative that directly supports our district's mission to provide safe and healthy and effective learning environments for every student and staff member. Our focus is ensuring that classrooms across the district are comfortable, reliable, and fully functional for the first day of school for 2025-2026 school year. So the initiative we're going to share with you tonight, to achieve this, we are advancing a proactive HVAC replacement initiative that will target our most critical HVAC needs of the district. So we'll provide a comprehensive overview of the plan, beginning with the context that led to its development. We'll also walk through the actions being taken, what criteria had to be used to select the schools, as well as the financial framework supporting the work, as well as what we believe to be the long-term positive impacts on our educational environments and operational efficiency. At its core, this is about prevention. It's about intelligent resource allocation and a long-term investment in our student and staff well-being. So the need for this initiative emerged from the persistent and growing challenges experienced, especially during the hotter months of the summer. As we all know, Clark County's climate presents an extreme seasonal temperatures, particularly in the late spring and early fall. These conditions often place intense demands on our aging HVAC systems, many of which are well beyond their designed service life. And over the past few summers, we've seen a very concerning rise in our HVAC failures at multiple school sites. Now, these breakdowns often occur at some of the worst possible times during periods of high occupancy as well as high heat, which forces our school leaders to relocate students, which interrupts instruction, and in many cases shuts down entire campuses or portions of classroom wings. So the consequence is more than just discomfort. It's lost instructional time, it's increased stress on our staff and students, and is an urgent strain on our already stretched maintenance resources. Now, the Clark County School District maintains HVAC systems across 374 school sites, each with unique needs, infrastructure, and environmental stressors. We recognize the magnitude of this responsibility, and therefore we have developed the strategic and data-driven approach that we're presenting here tonight, which will prioritize where our resources can be most urgently needed. This initiative will focus on the top 10% of our schools with the most pressing HVAC deficiencies. Our goal is to concentrate resources where the potential for disruption is the highest, and the replacements we're proposing will yield the most significant benefit. So the heart of this initiative is, again, a proactive replacement of system components that are both past their useful life and prone to frequent failure. This includes air handling units, chilled water controllers, compressors, building automation systems, and other critical mechanical infrastructure. Through detailed condition assessment data and in partnership with our maintenance department, we've identified 37 schools where partial system or primary component replacements are necessary to ensure more reliable equipment performance. Now, our implementation timeline is carefully planned to utilize the summer period, which minimizes our impact to instruction. The design and procurement phases began this spring and with major milestones scheduled throughout the summer, which allows all of our schools identified to reopen in August with more fully operational HVAC systems. So at this time, I'll hand it over to Mr. Stephen Molina.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. For the record, Stephen Molina, Coordinator 4 for Construction Management. This next section outlines the financial criteria that governs our ability to use capital funds for these replacements. As public stewards, we ensure all expenditures align with board-approved policies and state financial regulations. Per the excess statutory reserve, approved categories, as authorized by the Board of School Trustees on February 27, 2025, funding may be allocated to HVAC-related assets, provided these assets are standalone and meet established capital expenditure thresholds. To further clarify the requirements for utilizing capital funds, improvements are capitalized when they significantly increase the asset's value and extend its useful life. Specifically, for an expense to be considered a capital improvement, The cost must be greater than 50% of the original's asset value and extend the asset's life by more than 1 year. These guidelines ensure that we make sound financial decisions that provide long-term benefits to the district. At this time, I will hand the presentation over to Assistant Superintendent Tom Nizitich.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. For the record, Tom Nizitich, Assistant Superintendent, Facilities Management and Maintenance Division. This slide highlights the 37 schools that were identified to have the most critical HVAC investment needs. These schools were selected based on a comprehensive assessment of factors, including the age and system condition index. Other factors include the frequency of past failures, work order histories, and the impact equipment failures have had on this learning environment in these locations. In addition, please note that our maintenance teams have heard it loud and clear from all parties regarding numerous requests to address ongoing HVAC concerns. This targeted approach ensures that the bond resources are directed to where they are most urgently required. A key aspect of this initiative is our proactive stance, as Brandon mentioned. Rather than reacting to system failures as they occur, we are working with the construction management product team to take preventative measures to replace aging and unreliable components before they cause further disruptions. I am here to attest that this approach is being undertaken in close collaboration with our dedicated maintenance teams. Their expertise and insights have been invaluable in identifying these critical needs, and they will continue to be integral in maintaining and successfully implementing the ongoing maintenance of these upgraded systems. It's important to note that in addition, 4 of these 37 schools, Helen J. Stewart, Rowe Elementary, K.O. Knudsen Middle School, and Hyde Park Middle School, are currently slated for whole school replacement as part of the 2015 Capital Improvement Plan. However, this did not preclude them from having these necessary replacements made to their campuses. This partnership ensures a seamless transition and minimizes potential interruptions in service. We're very excited about it. With this list, we aim to ensure that these schools are comfortable and conducive to education from the start of the 2025-2026 school year and beyond. At this time, I'll hand this presentation back over to Mr. Steve Molina.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert, for the record, Stephen Molina. The district initially explored whole school HVAC upgrades at these 37 school sites. That totaled out to more than $255 million. Due to limited capital financial resources, we then had to strategize. What is within the current guiding principles of our capital improvement plan that favors larger comprehensive modernizations instead of single-scope minor modernizations, and what would allow us to be more expedient with immense strategic impact and not be confined by procurement or procedural hurdles. Utilizing the smaller Public Works Statute of Nevada Revised Statutes, Chapter 338, allowed us to use informal bidding procedures to be most efficient and maintain the appropriate level of competition in the industry. The total investment required for this critical HVAC replacement initiative is $5,180,000. This figure encompasses all necessary aspects of the project. It includes the design and engineering of the replacement systems, the cost of construction and equipment, the required permits, project management oversight, and other professional services. This investment reflects our commitment to providing long-term, reliable solutions for these schools. As of today, we have 37 solicitations and low bids identified, 24 fully procured construction agreements and the equipment necessary, with 2 of them in closeout, with the plan to complete all this by July 22nd, 2025. At this time, I will hand the presentation over to Assistant Superintendent Brandon McLaughlin.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert, for the record, Brandon McLaughlin. The benefits of this investment are both tangible as well as lasting. First and foremost, staff and students will have access to more reliable, climate-controlled spaces that support focus, overall health, and achievement. We know that learning suffers when classrooms are too hot or when systems are down. So these replacements will minimize that barrier. Second, by addressing the most problematic systems now, we ease the burden on our maintenance teams, allowing them to focus on the more preventative care and other high needs rather than emergency HVAC calls in that first week of school. Third, the new components and the capital replacements that we're undertaking will be more energy efficient. So the aged and inefficient equipment that we are replacing is some of our most water and power consumptive pieces of equipment. And when they're in disrepair, they often bleed resources trying to keep up with that load being demanded in the space. So this will support our long-term effort to reduce our operational utility costs. Now, these savings can then be redirected to other district priorities. So in closing, the critical HVAC replacement initiative is a forward-looking, cost-effective, and collaborative solution to one of our most pressing infrastructure needs. It reflects our deep commitment to providing equitable, safe, and high-performing learning environments for every student and educator to come to every day. We're very proud of the work we've been able to plan and bring this forward to you guys, and are confident in the value that it will deliver for our school communities. So we thank you for your time and are welcome to any questions.
Thank you, gentlemen. Trustee Dominguez?
Thank you, Madam President. This is amazing, and I just want to take a moment to recognize construction and maintenance in doing this and having the foresight to do this before school starts in fall. So I would like to run through a couple questions we went through during our briefing, just so we can make sure the public hears about this. So I know for funding, you said for capital funds, but can you describe a little bit more where the funds are coming from for this?
These are through excess statutory reserves.
Yeah, through the reserves.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
for the record, my apologies. Stephen Molina.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and I just wanted to get that. And then the bids and then the supplies. So one of the biggest issues that we had, or previously, was like not having enough materials or supplies, parts, and just do we have a plan for that as we're going through this?
Yes, this is separate, of course, from day-to-day maintenance and things like we keep our parts and inventories on hand for general repairs. These are full system replacements. These are standalone units. These will be coming right off the pallet, right off the box, ready to go. The control systems as well. This is not a matter of collecting lots of parts and pieces. The manufacturers and things may have some slightly longer lead times, but all of this has been taken into consideration. And we're looking at really good. We've got some completions already. Stephen mentioned, it's really exciting. And my maintenance teams are dynamically excited about that. And we look to have most of this, or if not all of it, completed by the due date, very aggressive, that we've set forward.
Amazing. I had quite a few parents from WAPA reach out, and they were ecstatic about this since their classrooms had swamp coolers. So they are very excited about this. So can you confirm we will have air conditioning first day of school?
Brandon McLaughlin, for the record. That's a lofty commitment you're asking. It is going to be 115, 16 of August. I can't make that guarantee, but this is a step in the right direction. So
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Zamora?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Brandon, Stephen, and Tom. I have a few questions, too. I'm glad we're prioritizing this. I really am, but I'm sure the students and teachers are, too. You said the timeline will be over the summer. I know usually one of the concerns I've heard from just schools is that there's not enough people to go fix the AC. So part of the cost, and you have other professional services, does that include hiring team members to come and install the ACs, or are you going to bring more people in to help?
yeah, Brandon McLaughlin, for the record. So the $5.1 million number is for external construction teams to be conducting the work, so mechanical subcontractors. It has nothing to do with district employees to be better equipped for it, but I like to equate it to, think of the work orders that will not be submitted on that first day, and then it's the teams that are available are able to be deployed to those a lot more effectively.
Exactly. Thank you for mentioning that. The second question I have, there was a few schools on the list that will be getting new construction, right? So what will happen to the HVACs? We're just going to reuse them, correct? they're new, so we're just going to reuse them, so it's not like we're wasting money on it?
It's a good question, and one that we anticipated. Yeah, most of this will be relatively new equipment. I mean, some of those are still pretty far off, so we'll have to make that judgment call when the time comes. But if it's 2 years out and we do end up still demolishing one of those 4 projects, we could retrieve that equipment and be able to deploy it elsewhere.
What's the lifespan of a HVAC?
Some of the ones we're replacing, I believe, are 30-plus years. But their expected lifespan anywhere from 8 to 15 years, depending upon the system configuration.
Okay, and then my last question, Trustee Dominguez just asked, that we would be done by August, hopefully. We're crossing our fingers. What are we going to do as a team to hold ourselves accountable if we do not hit that timeline? How are we going to make sure that we're going to prioritize to making sure, even if it's the first day of school, we don't have 4 or 5 schools that didn't get this, we're not going to push them aside. Like, we're just going to make sure that we hit them as much as we can. And then would we get updates just kind of like, hey, this happened, and it's all a public discussion?
Yeah, for the record, Brandon McLaughlin. I didn't mean to dismiss the MBU jovial about the request earlier, but we've actually been very strategic. We're working with our subcontractors to identify they're not picking any boutique pieces of equipment that are having to come on a ship. Is it domestically available? Is it something that's in a warehouse in Las Vegas? So I don't want to I can't guarantee that it'll be by July 22nd, but even if we don't hit that target, which I suspect we will hit that target, we wouldn't just push them aside if we didn't. But we have been specifically going after equipment that is readily available.
Okay, and can we commit to getting updates as the process goes? Yes?
Yeah, we'll
Thank
work
you.
with the superintendent to provide the appropriate update with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for your presentation. Not a minute too soon. The safety of our kids is number one, and in some of our situations, our own children are sitting in these classrooms, and we know that here in Las Vegas, it's not a luxury. It's a basic need to have. It's a health issue to have air conditioning. And so I just had a question. How are we prioritizing which schools get service first?
So as I mentioned in my slide, it was a very robust analysis that we did to choose these 37. Now, of course, there's 370 schools in the district, many of which have issues, but we definitely picked the ones that last year indicated that they were ripe and ready for some investment. And again, this is capital funding. This is something very different than the maintenance funds that we use just to go out and fix things every day. So we assessed the work order history on many of these schools, a lot of legacy knowledge with our teams who are used to what they're used to seeing every August. This was my first summer in Las Vegas, having been a recent transplant from Southern California. And it was very enlightening to me. And I said, you know what? This is a very reactive model that we have. What can we do collaboratively to utilize some of that capital funding that is not always readily available to us? So we got together, and this was really a positive move in that way. So lots of factors, work order histories, the condition index that our assessment teams do on an annual basis, lots of pieces to it. But we felt that this was the most effective use of these funds. And as I even mentioned, even for some of the schools that are slated for replacement, if they were giving us lots of problems and we had issues first day of school, I wanted to address them in advance. So
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Trustee Barron?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, I do have like 3 questions. Question number 1, do we have enough HVAC for our sites that are offering summer services?
It's a good question, one that came up in the planning process. So we've been working with the summer programs to make sure we're not impacting any of those. Or if there's change outs that need to happen, they're being coordinated.
Okay. That answers that one. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear that you'll be salvaging units that are relatively new. I mean, we see those things all the time where, you buy a new unit, of course, you're going to tear down the building, demolish it, within a year or two. Do we have capacity? Do we have storage capacity to actually store units and have like a ready, how should I say, like a boneyard from which to provide in replacement parts? And with that, I also ask, there's one thing I don't understand about construction. I don't know if the district ever standardized HVAC units, or if like every school, each builder has its own HVAC system that requires totally new. Have we standardized anything, or are we going to plan to do that in the future? So to try to keep things more efficiently, and the boneyard question.
We'll start with the boneyard question. Thankfully, when we do pull a unit off of a location that's no longer needed or whatnot, there's usually not a lot of time for that thing to sit around. Our teams are often out in the field, and they're ready to utilize parts quickly. We have a few different warehouse facilities that we utilize, but again, not a lot of fully functional brand new equipment is going to be sitting around very long. We like to get that deployed quickly to another one of the schools that may have a 25-year-old unit sitting there. So yeah, there's not a lot there. Storage capacity is always a challenge, but yeah, we're doing a really good job deploying throughout the 3 different regions. We have maintenance yards in every area, and as I said, we like to use them as quickly as possible. So not a lot of attic stock sitting on the shelves.
And standardization?
Brandon?
Yeah, I can address that one. So because of the competitive nature of public works contracting, it's very rare for us to write proprietary specifications, but we have set around certain vendors that meet the needs that we've identified. We're then able to keep stock on the shelves of those types of equipment. If they're set within a few parameters, not just a sole source type specification. But those performance parameters, we have gotten pretty distilled about what they need to be, so that there's very few that are able to meet that, and we more often tend to specify things that are easily maintained, not exotic parts. Trainings are relatively domestic, where our teams can either go to their training centers, or they can receive training here domestically at our facilities. So we have standardized those for a very long time.
And in the HVAC world, do units are they very proprietary, where certain parts only fit certain machines?
For the record, Stephen Molina, 80% of our equipment can use aftermarket parts, but there is that small 20% that it is proprietary. To alleviate that, kind of with the effort with the salvage, the equipment that is currently being improved or replaced during this initiative, any available parts off that obsolete equipment is being handed over to the maintenance team so they can properly use it in another equipment to continue extending the life of the equipment.
These guys were a good pickup, Thank you very much.
Thank you. To close this out, I believe, Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. I took the hint. I will close this out. Whenever our Madam President says that, that means we need to close that out. First of all, gentlemen, thank you so much. If I had one of my Google Docs in front of me, where it says how to say thank you in 100 different languages, I would do that, but then I get in trouble here for the time commitment. But music to our ears, as far as proactive instead of crisis reactive. I just want you to know that of the 7 schools from my district, District G, 4 of them, French, Iverson, Rowe, and Treem, have already sent thank you messages and asked me to pass that on to you. So that's all I have to say, because I think that Trustee Zamora asked all my questions today. She covered it, including the updates. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. This is not an action item, so we're going to move on to 4.01. This is public comment on items not listed as action items on the agenda. Is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? Okay. We're going to go ahead and call up Peyton and Mr. Powell, if you would come up. Peyton, I'm going to let you go first. You're signed up, and you can take that mic right there. And I'm not going to start your time yet, but I know you're a student, and what school are you from?
I come from Veterans Tribute Career and Technical Academy.
Okay, just say your name for the record, and then we'll get started. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Peyton Marks, and like many students, I struggle with English. I have a hard time knowing how to start an essay or figuring out how to structure my essays. Many students struggle with the same issue. This is where resources like Paper become crucial. By providing access to a 24/7 online tutoring service, Paper helps students with questions or struggles at any time, anywhere. One of Paper's key benefits is its variety. The platform offers tutoring in multiple subjects, not only essay writing. Whether a student needs help with math, science, or English, Paper provides unconditional support that can help students with their diverse learning needs. Having access to expert tutors for different subjects ensures that students never feel stuck or overwhelmed, helping them build confidence in their abilities. Another significant advantage of Paper is its availability. Unlike other tutoring services operating on a fixed schedule, Paper is a 24/7 resource. This flexibility allows students to seek help when needed, whether late at night before a deadline or early in the morning before school. The never-ending support can make a huge difference for students juggling multiple responsibilities and needing assistance at any time. I am not a very creative person, and I procrastinate. So when I had an assignment for creative writing, I didn't know where or when to start. A few nights before the assignment was due, I used Paper to help me figure out how to start. Having a person educated in something that I struggled with, willing to help me out when I needed it, really helped me with my confidence in my writing. Without resources like this, students who procrastinate or have trouble with certain topics might feel lost and discouraged. Having someone available to help when needed makes a big difference in learning, and it ensures that every student, no matter their challenges, has a fair chance to do well in school. As AI is on the rise, students are more likely to use AI to do their assignments for them. Having access to Paper will encourage students to ask for help to do it themselves rather than asking AI to do the work. Human tutors can better understand the context of the students' questions and concerns, providing them with a more relevant information and personalized help. Human tutors can also help students develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills, which are essential for complex problems that AI might struggle with. By bringing back funding for Paper, our school district would be investing in its students' academic success and well-being. It would provide them with the tools they need to excel in a range of subjects. In today's educational society, having access to resources like Paper can be a game changer for students needing assistance. Paper eliminates these obstacles by offering round-the-clock tutoring, ensuring that every student receives high-quality help. Investing in Paper isn't just about tutoring. It's about shaping a future where every student has the opportunity to thrive, making it crucial for our district to reinstate funding and give students the assistance they need.
Thank you, Ms. Peyton. Mr. Powell? And then after, I don't know, is Liz Becker still in the audience? No, she left. Shaquila, you'll be next. Okay. Mr. Powell.
Excuse me, before I begin, I'm an English teacher that teaches creative writing. I could not agree more with what that young lady just said.
Thank you for that. Please proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, specifically council, I am here at the suggestion of the Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Anthony. I spoke with him last month about the topic I'm going to bring up right now. This is very humiliating for me to say, and I'm so embarrassed to be here at this time. I've been arrested for rape. Let that soak in. Almost 40 years ago, I was arrested for rape. But as soon as the young lady saw the pictures, that's not him, I was released. I'm also a felon. 44 years ago, I was stupid and stole $750 from an employer to chase after a girl I thought I loved. Well, it was a mistake. When I left the United States in the year 1999 to go to Japan to study for my PhD, I had my record expunged. After it was expunged, I was told from that point on, I would not have to admit to any arrest or any conviction. I was allowed into the country of Japan. I lived there for 8 years. After that, I taught in 4 other countries. For the last 23 years, I've been teaching outside of the United States. I married a woman in China. We came here almost 2 years ago. I'm proud to say my wife just got her green card, and she is also a Nevada state licensed teacher. I wish that the board would change its hiring questions.
It should simply say, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And that's it. Everyone on this board right here has got dirty laundry. You don't want anyone to know about it. And I think I'm safe in saying that. Many states, they don't mention anything about arrest. They are only allowed to ask if an individual was convicted of a felony. I am not that stupid boy that stole that money 44 years ago. I would like to teach. I was fired from Harney whenever they found this out. I lied on my application. I had to go through a disciplinary hearing. I was humiliated by the questions that they asked me. Were you arrested? Were you fingerprinted? Were you handcuffed? I was humiliated. I screwed up. I'm sorry. I need a job. I've got a family to support. I want to go back to teaching at CCSD. I'm an outstanding teacher. In China, the school that I was at, out of 362 teachers, I was voted Teacher of the Year 6 years in a row. I want to get back to teaching. I want to help young ladies like the one that was just up here. I want to do my job. Again, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I did not do it in malice, and I promise you, I was not trying to break any laws. I believe by checking no, I was within my rights. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Shaquila, and then after that, we have Abraham. There you go. Okay.
Is it on? Oh, thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Ebert, Madam President, School Board of Trustees. Shaquila Eilidge for the record. Nigger, nigger, nigger. That is what my friend and her 11-year-old daughter heard as they walked into one of CCSD's middle school by a few of its students. Racism is not new to the world, nor is it a novel experience for what people know Nevada to be, and that it is referred to the Mississippi of the West. No, there's nothing new or surprising that it is the order of the day at our schools. However, I am here today to demand that you hold students, staff, and families accountable. If there is a zero policy for racism to happen on CCSD property, then why is it in the 21st century, in the year 2025, we still have to address it? There is a phrase, thought, word, deed. Although many people pretend to be impulsive, there's a thought that occurs before we open our mouths to speak. And what usually follows our speech is some other form of action. When most of my people hear the N-word with the hard ER, that's a direct threat. We see images of our people, our children being lynched, set on fire, thrown on railroad tracks, in rivers, swamps, and oceans. We see police brutally assaulting and murdering us. We see the CCSD police treating our children like rag dolls. It's a very visceral experience for us. It's not funny, nor is it a thing to make light of that we live this reality every day. Hate and violence is not acceptable, nor is hate speech tolerated among those of us who love who we are and defend ourselves against racism. It is May. School is out next week for our students. Nevertheless, this new board and superintendent, I and we fully expect you all to be very deliberate and morally grounded when you work over the summer to address these ills and make us all feel safe and welcome on all these campuses.
Thank you. Mr. Abraham, and then Jordan.
Hello, good afternoon, members of our beautiful trustee. You guys are still young this week. Nobody brought that up. And to our wonderful superintendent and everybody here from our staff behind me. And especially I want to give a shout out to our team that's translating in sign language. I know that's hard, so thank you for that. I just want to say I'm very happy to hear the HVAC report from Brandon's team. It's something that we've been looking into from the Bond Oversight Committee. And I know it's not all the schools, because we have a lot of schools, a lot of properties, but it's moving forward, and I'm very happy with others. So I also got a lot of text messages from the school principals from this list, and they are excited to start feeling cold in their classrooms. And so it's a good moving forward. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Brandon's team, construction management, and everybody's been looking into this. So, and then also to you guys, because this is why we are working together to be able to move forward to address these issues that affect our students, our educators, and most importantly, making the school district the choice for our parents to choose to send our kids here. So I just wanted to say thank you, and everybody's looking young this week, so keep it up. And I look forward to continue working with everybody and just being that community guy, and most importantly, the father that I am, because that's the greatest title that I have. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Jordan, you will close us out.
I'm sorry ahead of time. My name is Jordan Seeger. My son is 14 and has always been young for his grade. In the third grade, he scored poorly on most of his testing and grades for that year. My wife, who is a very concerned mother, always trying to do what is best for her kids, met with administration and teachers to ask about retaining him a year due to his performance. Administrations and teachers told us no. They would work with him to make sure he would catch up. Trusting the professionals, he went into the fourth grade. COVID created new concerns and struggles, the lack of real education, new challenges for everyone, and time spent learning. He didn't get any attention and definitely did not get any better. His fifth grade test scores and grades continue to be below average, and our concerns as parents continue to grow. We again met with his teacher, school principal, and other administration to request retention. Again, we were denied, and they would continue to work with him to improve. 6th and 7th grade showed no improvement. In fact, test scores began to drop even further below state averages. All of his test scores now in the red, and grades continuing to slip. We decided to use COSA to move him schools in 8th grade, hoping that a change of environment would allow him to focus and better succeed to prepare him for high school. Unfortunately, just the opposite happened. His test scores were worse than ever, scoring 10% below the state average, and received Ds in history and in science, Cs in math and English, including an F on his final exam. Twice that year, we received retention notices from the school on top of these grades and test scores. We met with his school principal that told us his grades were passing and they could not retain, but would understand us needing to find a way to do so ourselves. We then looked into other options to hold our son back. We found a homeschool program that we would allow for our son to continue to develop and prepare for the next phase in life. We submitted those plans to CCSD and received clearance for his 8th grade transcripts. My son has spent the past year working a part-time job on top of a structured school schedule to prepare himself for that next step. Not until early April of this year, when registering for 9th grade at Centennial High School, did we find out that there was any issue. We were told that my son would have to skip the entire 9th grade year and go straight to 10th grade. My wife and I believed this had to be a mistake and set up an appointment with the principal. We then learned of the sports teams and elite athletes that were going through similar processes and causing this change in policy enforcement due to the purpose of their reclassification being sports in nature. My son, who significantly struggled to succeed in school already, was now being forced to miss an entire year of education, not to mention social development and integration into high school, because he was lumped into one big group under one big policy. I understand the need for the district to have guidelines to protect the integrity of its programs. Had we known of these risks, we would have made different choices for our son. We wish we could go back now, but the district is punishing my son and putting his success at risk due to choices of his parents. Not to mention the board approved just a few weeks ago a change to this code so that no principal can make a decision to do what they think is best for an individual student. Instead of the board voted that policy trumps people without exception. Some, especially those trying to take advantage of the system, may not think it is fair to treat students independently, but I know for sure it is not fair for my son to give him an even harder track for him to succeed at school and in life than those that get 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seeger. With that, that concludes our public comment period. We'll move to item number 5.01, upcoming meeting of the Board of Trustees will be Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 5 p.m. At this time, and I just want to say, I know that May is a very complex time for everyone within CCSD, so I want to thank the trustees for the investment of their time and sacrifice that they've made, not only for the training that they've recently taken, but for all the graduations that will participate in the next coming weeks. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Trustee Dominguez?
I would like to motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. I have first Trustee Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to second the motion and wish good luck to my colleagues on their first graduations in the next couple weeks, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you. So I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. The time is 6:54 p.m. Thank you.